Uh, so the right wing in this country has basically blown a gasket. They've gone completely apeshit crazy. Um, so they had a million vet march on Washington D.C. Protesting the closure of the war memorials. And all sorts of stupid. I mean, there's just a list of stupid statements from Ted Cruz saying, "Well, if they have money to put up barricades, why couldn't they just keep them open?" And the level of stupidity, just in that statement. I mean, there's so many statements that were stupid, but the level of just stupidity in that is amazing. Why would the government put up barricades outside national parks? Why would they do that? Oh, that's right, because the parks are fucking closed. Yeah, yeah, it's just stupid. They're closed because the government doesn't have the money to keep them open. Why? Because the government shut down. Why is the government shut down? Because Congress refuses to pass a budget. Why does Congress refuse to pass a budget? Because they're assholes. It is that simple. Um, but yeah, it's just incredibly stupid. Um, Anyhow, the protesters went there, tore down the barricades, dragged the barricades to the White House, and piled them up to the point where you can climb the barricades that they piled up and hop the fence into the White House lawn. Like it's that high. That's how high they piled it. Um, which I don't know. In my view, could be viewed as an act of revolutionary aggression against the federal government. I mean, like, if you can climb the damn thing and hop over there, odds are you could probably hop over there with some firearms and start shooting up the White House personnel. Um, but anyhow, yeah, that was just ridiculous. The links I'm providing this time around are actually right wing links, just so you can see their pictures and what they're talking about. Um, Ted Cruz, Sarah Palin, they went down there and they all spouted off their nonsense. Sarah Palin, like, was condemning the administration for using vets as political pawns, and I mean, it's just unbelievable. Like, how can you go there and use the vets as political pawns and say that the other side is using them as political pawns when you're using them as political pawns? Um, and it's gotten so ridiculous that uh, the Million Vet March organization actually had to put out a statement saying like we didn't mean this to happen. Um, I mean, which is just kind of amazing that a right wing organization is like, these guys are crazy. Like, but you set it up. I mean, it's funny that they had to put a retraction out. I'm linking that down below too, so you can read it and read their goofy stupidity. I mean, the lack of thought, and the right wing's not thinking. So one, they put the barricades up to keep people out. Yes. Why would they do that? Well, it would be helpful not to have people running around, throwing Mountain Dew cans all over the place, and just trashing the place up. Um, because there isn't anybody there to clean it. There's no janitorial staff to pick up the garbage of all their trash and random crap they're going to be throwing around. Um, they make it sound like they needed armed guards there, and that's the whole thing that on the little right wing uh, the Million Man March thing. They're like, well, they don't have guards here when when it's fully funded, so blah 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 blah. Why is it closed? And it's because they don't have trash collecting people. I mean, the entire system shut down. You can't clean it. these parks get dirty, needing janitorial staff in there. Another thing is there's nobody really there to watch the park, so who's to say somebody can't just go in there and deface it, which has happened. It's happened to the Vietnam Memorial. Somebody could just roll in there and start spray painting and walk out. Who's going to stop them? Well, nobody, because there's nobody there. Unless you're counting a mob rule to prevent people from screwing stuff up, but which apparently the right is. I mean, they're crazy. Another thing about all of this is the government shutdown, is just going on and on and on, screwing everything up. And we're getting close to our borrowing limit here, which means the government will no longer be able to borrow money to pay its bills because we're running in a deficit. The government's running in a deficit. So they're not going to be able to borrow money to pay their bills. Now, if we hit that point and they don't raise the debt ceiling, that's going to lead to some really interesting things. And the right wing is so crazy, they might actually do it. It could lead to a constitutional crisis. So, what am I saying? Like, is that hyperbolic? Is that just nonsense? Well, let's look at this. The government will still be legally, because how it works is, the House passes a bill, the bill passes through the Senate, that bill reaches the president signs it into law, that bill becomes an act. And generally acts are, for spending money on whatever, what have you, to build stuff, to do things, to fund police, to fund this, to fund that, whatever. There's a buttload of acts that the administration, whoever the administration is, has to enforce. Constitutionally, they're required to do it because it's an act. So, you have all these acts, all these laws. Government, basically any government agency or function is effectively an act. Anyhow, the government doesn't have the revenue to fund all these things. So what will happen is the tax revenue coming in will have to be, shot around to whatever government agency is chosen to be funded. Now, why is that a problem? So if the president it decides to, let's assume for sake of argument, he decides to fund, I don't know, the Department of Justice, but not the Department of Homeland Security or whatever. Just a random choice there. The problem with doing that is it's not constitutional. In other words, the president doesn't have the authority to determine what gets funded. He has the authority. His job, his constitutional authority is enforcing what Congress passes. But Congress was refusing to fund what they passed. So he's left with a choice of choosing between various things that he's constitutionally required to fund and run. But he can't do it because it doesn't have the funds to do it. So that's a constitutional crisis. So he's legally obligated to do something, but he can't do it. That's a problem. I've seen commentators talking about, well, it wouldn't come to that. Assuming we went over this debt ceiling, that Congress would pick and choose what they want to fund, and then that would go up to the president, which is also problematic because, again, it still leaves the president in a situation where he has to, constitutionally, he's got to enforce these laws, but he can't, which is a constitutional crisis. So basically, the right wing in this country are wanting to destroy the economy, because this would destroy the economy. It would destroy the world economy, probably obliterate the world economy. Our economy would just collapse. It'd be pretty quick, fast, and in a hurry. It'd be disastrous. But more than that, these right-wingers are so crazy that they're willing to destroy the constitutional republic. I mean, that's not an exaggeration. A constitutional crisis like this would be a disaster. It'd be just epically bad, and could lead to a complete failed state, which is, I guess, if you're an anarcho-capitalist, that'd be great. Which apparently a lot of these crazy right wingers are. They're not libertarians. They're flat out anarcho-capitalists. They want to smash everything, just let the economy burn, and apparently let the constitutional republic collapse. So yeah, I'm leaving some links below, so you can see the pictures of these protesters. The link for the Million Man March and their disclaimer. Like, it's amazing. So yeah, there you go.